bids are in, the gavel is dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right. This is WineBid's podcast dedicated to all things wine value, wine auction, wine retail, and just wine. I am Jeff McGurn on our marketing team here at WineBid. With me, as always, is our wine expert, Paul Walker. He is a wine expert. Get that seared into your mind. This man is an expert in wine.
I'm Jeff's personal wine expert.
That is true. That is true. To me,
yours only.
This is not stolen valor. You are an expert in wine. You put the time in. You know your stuff. And
specifically for Jeff.
Today, we're going to be talking about some of the French wine coming into auction. We've got a lot of really interesting stuff. I want to start us off with a fun bottle. We've got bottle of 82 Petrus, which, I mean, I don't know that it's super rare, but I feel like we don't see it all the time either. And it is a pretty legendary bottle, is it not?
It is. It certainly is. One of the most famous and most expensive of the 82 Bordeaux. And it has a bid. And as everyone can see this, and you can too, apparently the Napa University is bidding on 82 Bordeaux because that's
what?
That's the handle name that I'm looking at on WineBid. So I had to say that because, you know, it's public knowledge. I'm not publishing any private information here. Everyone can see it. But there you go. The Napa University. I think that might be a clever name for somebody.
I didn't know Napa had a university.
They do. Oh, yeah.
I would like to. Well, that's a college. University's different. University has graduate programs as well.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff, for your, expertise on the collegiate system of the United States.
I'm just saying. That's my understanding, is that your university, if you have graduate programs as well. Somebody please correct me on that.
That bottle's in great shape, though. It looks fantastic.
The bottle looks stunningly beautiful. It's in fantastic shape. It's got a great fill level. We're already seeing a bid on it. So I thought this one was super interesting. We've got this couple of other ones that I noted. We actually have two bottles of Chateau Beauséjour. Am I saying that correctly? Beauséjour.
Is it the Dufault? Are you talking about the 2010 Dufault?
Yeah, we have a 2010 and a 2011 Dufault. What was interesting to me is the 2010, which obviously, I mean, that's coming in at 315 because of the Robert Parker 100-point score.
Right.
But I feel like, the reviews I'm seeing on the 2011, that it's also absolutely stunning. And it's coming in at $95. So you're paying less than a third of the price for, something that's also great juice. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the 2010 versus the 2011.
I think I want to say maybe a few weeks ago, a month ago or so, or maybe longer. I can't remember. But we had both the 1990 and the 2010 in at the same time. And the 1990 was a famous wine because it was one of the first, I think, probably the first 1990 vintage Bordeaux that got 100 points outside of the big boys. And so it's non-classified, obviously, because it's from the right bank, but it made a name for itself after that rating. And it was a huge deal. And it was always very expensive in the secondary market because it was impossible to find, I think, on release anyway. Well, especially once the score got out. But yeah. So the 90 it was a phenomenally good wine. I remember tasting it many years ago, and it's very, very good. But the 2010 was also at the same time, and I think the 90s, $500, $600, $700 or something. But the 10 came in as well, and I was like, oh well, $315. I don't think that's out of line. But for this wine, every other vintage without this 100-point score is much, much less. So it'd be interesting, I think, to try these wines, side by side, or do a vertical tasting. There's also 14 in for $60, and so
it's got 9 years of age on it. I'll bet it's actually starting to drink just fine right now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's
$60.
Sure it's great, but the score just artificially inflates the price of this wine.
Well, I know scores are how a lot of people buy their wine. That's how you buy all of your wine. You look for what the critics have scored it
I
at.
look for all your buddies on Cellar Tracker, and if they just review it, then I'll go after it.
My besties, they're my best friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Which just shows you I don't really have that many friends, and so everybody on. But speaking of 100-point scores, which I know you really follow very closely, 2015 Chateau Cannon. We've got a mag in, and that's a double 100-pointer from James Suckling. And what was the other one? Vienne is Vin.
It's
Galoni. Anyway, this one, Venice. I always think Vinius, but it's Venice. I feel like $390 for a Magnum of 2015 Canon is actually a pretty decent deal. I mean, granted.
Well, yeah, right. Critics aside, it's a 100-point score from two different critics. And the last one we were mentioning was also from Saint-Emilion from 2010, different vintage, obviously, but still, yeah, $390 for a Magnum seems like a decent deal.
I mean, granted, that one's going to be able to lay down for a lot longer, but I was kind of looking at that, like that, if you're comparing the Beauséjour at 315 versus this at 390, I mean, from my perspective, especially if you're willing to lay it down for a little while, it's a mag and it's Canon. And recent vintages have been phenomenal like that. They've been putting out just some phenomenal wine over the last decade or so, maybe I guess even longer than that. Yeah. But I thought that one was a really nice, reasonable deal. I also noted the 78 O Batelli, that one, $90. I thought that one was a good deal. 01 Chateau La Ville Curé for $45. The 09 Laraveau for $25. We have 7 of those. That one gets some pretty solid tasting notes. I think I might try and snatch up a couple of bottles of those. I mean, you're looking at 14 years of age, 09, good year. What do you think about the 83 Palmer? That one,
it's so good. I just had
$490.
Just had it like a couple of weeks ago. It was excellent stuff. Really, really, really good. I mean, that 83 is always, well, at least among serious wine collectors, is a superior vintage in Margaux than 82. And 83 Palmer is no exception. It's phenomenally good. And I think it's worth it. Absolutely. Yeah. I flagged, that's one of the other wines I flagged. We've got some crossover for sure. It's killer. It's great stuff.
I'm teaching you well. Apparently you've been listening to me, and I appreciate that, Paul. And then actually it's quite the opposite. I think I've just been listening to you enough. The only other one that I was really looking at from Bordeaux perspective was the 2000 Pape Clement for $150. I just thought that's a pretty reasonable deal.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like, Pape Clement's come way up in price, especially for the more modern vintages and however you want to interpret that. But yeah, you're right. 2000 at 150. Well, there's some at 150 and 155. Not bad at all. And again, like pretty great, universally great ratings across the board. And, amazing vintage and probably drinking really well now. So that's one to grab.
Only one other one that I wanted to mention was an 06 U Chateau Sartan for $195. I actually thought $195 was a pretty damn good deal for VCC, with, 17 years of age on it.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's we're talking about Petrus. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they're right next door. They share a property line with Petrus. So you're talking about some phenomenal juice there for $195. I thought that was a steal. And then I'm sure there are some first growth Bordeaux that you want to mention. Do you want to walk through any of any other Bordeaux picks that I didn't?
Yeah, I don't have any first growths this week, but I know there are some. I think there's some Lafite and some Margaux. But I did want to say there's 09 Branal, and let's see at 100 or 105. It looks like I might have a little bit of some trickling in from last week. So apologies if I am repetitive here with my picks, but
I don't forgive you.
You mentioned the Canon. Funny that the mag is actually $10 cheaper than what it should be. You know what I mean? Because the 750s are at 200 and the mag is
200 and the mag is
you're saving
money. You save money on corkage and you're saving money on the per 750 price, the per milliliter
exactly.
price.
Better deal. It's like one of those math problems for kids. It's like, what's a better deal?
I know with like electric cars, they do that thing where they show you the price after the tax rebate you get, right?
Right.
Should we be doing that with large format bottles and like we show you the price after you save money on corkage? No. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe that was a bad idea.
So.
Okay. Next idea. Go on.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. 82 Clean A. I thought, did you mention this? I thought it was interesting for,
No,
another great Pomerol wine.
I saw that. And
from a fantastic vintage and under $100 for an 82, especially from that caliber, I thought was a pretty good deal. Now, I've never had this, so collectors might know that it's...
You've never had Clean A? So Clean A
82 Clean A.
Bordeaux.
82 Clean A. Jeez Louise. It's rare. It's super rare. You'll never see it again. Never going to see it again. It's ultra rare. So get it now.
I do love Clean A. I have a lot of... I do have a lot of Clean A, but I don't have any... I mean, I might have like 7 or 8 cases of the 82 Clean A at home, but I would have to check. It could be more.
Okay. Whenever you make it home from your stranded remote location, you can check your cellar and see if it's still there.
You don't have like an 82 Clean A closet at home?
I do not.
Usually people put it next to the butler's pantry.
Okay, moving on. Finally, 2010 Feti Clean A, not the same wine, but that was another pick I had because we do not see this very often. Again, is it new this week? It might not be, but I'm going to mention it again. $95. Let's see. 09 Haute Bailly, 165. Oh, there's a trio of great vintages of Chateau Leguay, which we do not see. Again, another one of these wines that I'm going to get in trouble for saying we never see it, but pretty rare stuff. Again, right bank, I believe it's from Pomerol. So yeah, we got a lot of Pomerol stars this week. And 05, 09, and 10 Leguay, and they're all relatively similar in price. I think the 05 is 145, 09 is 170, and the 10 is 160. And I think they all have like relatively similar scores. No, the 09 didn't do as well as I thought. Anyway, awesome small production Pomerol wine, a lot cheaper than its close neighbors. And like, let's see, we mentioned a few. Oh yeah, switching over to Sauternes really quick. 75 half bottle of Chateau Nairoc for $35. I saw that
too.
Steal.
I thought that one was really cool and just a super great steal.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you mentioned the Palmer, 83 Palmer, it's $490. There's 86 Pichon Lalande in this week. I just think that's unbelievably great. We always talk about how well some of these second growths do in successful or even great vintages and how they can blow away other wines, from first growths or beyond. And 86 Pichon Lalande is one of them. It's very, very, very good. And that's in at $290. So, and then 15 Smith-O Lafite, I think. Is that new this week? I don't know. Anyway, 120. There's 4 of those. Oh yeah, 09 Le Dome. Speaking of another tiny.
I actually noted that.
Oh, okay.
Le Dome.
Yeah. I mean, it's been in fairly recently. I think there's actually some other rollover items as well. But anyway, 185 for the 09. Flag that. And then, second label of Pichon Lalande, there's 09 Reserve de la Comtesse, 2 of those for $80. I thought that was a fair price for a second label of an amazing producer, not terribly expensive, and from a great vintage. So should be drinking really well.
What about the 09 Clos Fortet?
Yeah. So I think some of this has been in. I want to say I mentioned it just a couple of weeks ago when it was in, but maybe that was a different vintage because I know we saw a ton of 09s for not too long ago. But 09 Clos Fortet for $190. I think that's pretty good. Oddly enough, there's some Closerie de Forte, which I believe is the second label, which I did not see. That's also in this week. 3 different lots of 09 La Closerie de Forte for $45. So yeah, you can buy the second label for quite a bit less.
That's actually could be a phenomenal deal. All right, folks, those have been our Bordeaux picks for the week. Stay tuned. We'll be coming back at you with some amazing Burgundy, some amazing picks from around the rest of France, and then also some stuff from the US and potentially the rest of the world. And with that, this has been Paul Walker and Jeff McGurn wishing you happy bidding and cheers.